I bought the bed on a Tuesday, white linen, platform frame, clean lines, the kind of bed you see in magazines where everything is pristine and nothing ever goes wrong. The delivery guys set it up while I was at work, and I came home that evening running my hand along the edge of the mattress, thinking about how this was the bed where I'd start my married life. Fresh, new, untainted. I didn't know then that it would become the stage for my ending instead of my beginning. That was 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks of sleeping on those crisp white sheets, of Ethan complaining they were too stiff, of me saying they just needed time to soften. 3 weeks of planning a wedding that was supposed to happen in 2 months. 3 weeks of being completely, blissfully unaware that my fiancé and my best friend were already writing a different story. The day I found out was a Thursday. I remember because Thursdays were my short days at the firm. I usually worked until 7, but I'd blocked off the afternoon for a deposition that got canceled last minute. I texted Ethan to let him know I'd be home early, but he didn't respond. That wasn't unusual. His startup kept him busy, pulled in a dozen directions at once. I thought maybe we could have dinner together for once, actually sit at the table instead of eating over our laptops. I unlocked the apartment door at 4:30 in the afternoon, with my mind on whether we had anything in the fridge worth cooking. The first thing I noticed was the silence. Not empty silence, occupied silence, the kind that has breathing in it. The bedroom door was half open. I moved toward it the way you move towards something you already know will hurt. Slowly, carefully, like if you're quiet enough, reality might not notice you approaching. The new bed, white sheets tangled, two people asleep, naked, their bodies curved together like they'd done this before. Like they were comfortable, like this was routine. Ethan's face was buried in Lily's hair. Her hand rested on his chest. The afternoon light came through the window, soft and golden, making everything look almost romantic. Almost beautiful. I stood in the doorway and counted my breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I just stood there wondering how long betrayal needs to feel familiar before it stops feeling like a knife. My phone was in my hand. I raised it. Took photos. The camera made no sound. The angle was perfect. You could see both their faces clearly. You could see my new bed. The one I'd been so excited about, defiled before it had even truly become mine. I took 6 photos, then I left. I didn't slam the door. I closed it quietly behind me, walked back to my car, and drove to my office. I sat in the parking garage for 20 minutes, staring at my steering wheel, feeling absolutely nothing. Numb, blank, like someone had reached inside my chest and turned off every emotion at once. Then my phone buzzed. Ethan. Hey babe, sorry I missed your text earlier. Still at the office? Might be late tonight. Love you. I stared at those words. Love you. I typed back, no problem, see you later. That's when I started thinking clearly again. Coldly, precisely, because here's what I understood in that parking garage, in those sterile fluorescent lights. Anger is loud and obvious and temporary. But revenge? Real revenge is quiet, strategic, permanent. I started remembering things, patterns I'd ignored, pieces I hadn't put together. 6 months ago, Ethan said to me, "Sometimes I feel like you don't need me." We were in bed, my bed, before I bought the new one. He was staring at the ceiling, voice soft and vulnerable. I'd laughed it off. Of course I need you, don't be silly. But he didn't laugh. He just turned away from me, and I thought maybe he was tired. Maybe stressed about the company. Maybe just having a weird moment. I didn't realize he meant it. I didn't realize that me being financially independent, emotionally stable, and professionally successful made him feel small, unnecessary, less than. Ethan needed someone who needed him, someone fragile, someone he could save. Enter Lily. Sweet, soft-spoken Lily with her wounded eyes and her tendency to fall apart over everything. Lily, who I'd comforted through her devastating breakup 2 years ago when her ex left her for someone else. Someone stronger, she'd said. Someone more put together. Someone who didn't need him constantly. She never said my name, but we both knew. Her ex had developed feelings for me during one of their rough patches. I'd shut it down immediately, told her about it, thought we'd move past it. But Lily never forgave me. Not really, even though I'd done nothing wrong. Even though I'd chosen her friendship over his attention. She'd been carrying that wound ever since, quietly bleeding resentment, waiting for her moment. Sleeping with Ethan wasn't just desire, it was revenge disguised as romance. It was her finally taking something from me the way she believed I'd taken something from her. The irony was exquisite. She'd destroyed our friendship over a man I'd never wanted, and now she was destroying my engagement over another man. I was rapidly realizing I didn't want either. I went back to work, answered emails, reviewed contracts, functioned perfectly. At 8 p.m., Ethan came home. I was on the couch with my laptop, working on a brief. He kissed the top of my head. He smelled like her perfume. "How was your day?" he asked, voice light, casual, normal. "Fine," I said. "Deposition got moved. How about yours?" "Exhausting. Investors are being difficult." He said this without a trace of irony, standing there in our living room, lying to my face after spending the afternoon in my bed with my best friend. I looked up at him, smiled. "You should get some rest then." He smiled back, relieved. "You're the best, you know that?" "I know," I said. That night, I lay next to him in the bed where he'd been with her hours before, and I planned everything. The apartment was in my name. I'd bought it before we got engaged. Ethan's startup was struggling. He liked to pretend it was thriving, but I'd invested $200,000 of my own money to keep it afloat 6 months ago. Silent partner. My lawyer had drawn up the papers. The wedding was being paid for primarily by my family. My parents, successful and generous, had offered to cover most of the costs. Ethan's contribution was minimal. His pride wouldn't let him admit he couldn't afford a wedding that matched the image he wanted to project. I'd been financially supporting his dream while he was emotionally supporting himself with my best friend. The math was almost funny. Over the next 2 weeks, I played my role perfectly. I went to cake tastings and smiled at fondant samples. I confirmed vendors and updated the seating chart. I met Lily for coffee and listened to her talk about how excited she was for my big day. Her eyes bright with something that might have been guilt or might have been satisfaction. "You're so lucky," she said, stirring her latte. "Ethan is amazing." "He really is," I agreed, watching her face, watching for cracks. "I don't know what I'd do without him." She looked away, swallowed. "You two are perfect together." "Are we?" I asked, voice light and curious. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm too independent for him. If he needs someone softer." "Someone who needs him more." Lily's eyes flicked to mine, sharp, startled. "Why would you say that?" I shrugged. "Just a feeling. You know how men can be. They like to feel necessary." She didn't respond, just drank her coffee and changed the subject to bridesmaid dresses. That evening, I went through her social media, then through her medical records. I had access because I was listed as her emergency contact, a relic from when we were actually friends who trusted each other. And there it was, an appointment at an OB/GYN scheduled for the following week. I did the math. Timeline was murky, could be Ethan's, could be her ex's. They'd had an on-again, off-again thing for months after the official breakup. Drama and tears and late-night phone calls I'd consoled her through, while apparently she was still sleeping with him. Lily didn't know whose baby she might be carrying, and I'd bet money Ethan didn't know she was pregnant at all. This was getting better and better. I kept digging into Ethan's laptop, which he left open constantly because he trusted me, into his messages, his emails, and I found the real truth, the one that hurt worse than the affair. Messages to Lily. "After the wedding, I'll have access to everything. Her family connections, her network, her resources. That's when we can really build something." Messages from Lily. "She doesn't deserve you. She's too cold, too controlled. I can make you happy." Messages back. "You already do, baby. Just be patient. Play your part. This wedding is an investment in our future." They were both using me, both lying, both planning a future where they'd bleed me dry and then discard me. Ethan was marrying me for my connections and my money. Lily was helping him because she thought he'd leave me for her once he'd gotten what he needed. They were lying to each other almost as much as they were lying to me. It was almost poetic. The wedding rehearsal dinner was scheduled for a Friday evening. Both families would be there. Ethan's parents, proud of their son's success, and his beautiful, accomplished fiancé. My parents, generous and loving, happy to see their daughter settled with someone they believed made her happy. The venue was elegant, string lights and candles, round tables with white linens, everything perfect, everything curated. I wore a blue dress, simple, expensive, the kind of dress that whispered confidence. Lily wore pink. Of course she did, soft and feminine and fragile. Ethan wore a suit that I'd helped him pay for. He stood at the front of the room, smiling, giving a toast about love and partnership and how lucky he was to have found me. I watched him speak, watched everyone smile and nod and believe him. Then it was my turn. I stood, picked up my glass, smiled at the room full of people I loved and people who'd betrayed me. Thank you all for being here, I said, voice clear, calm, gracious. These last few months have been such a journey. Planning this wedding, building our future together, learning so much about the people I thought I knew. I paused. Let that sentence hang in the air. I want to talk about trust, I continued, about what it means to build a life with someone, about partnership, about honesty. Ethan was smiling at me, proud, confident. Lily was at the bridesmaids' table, watching with soft eyes. I pulled out my phone, connected it to the venue's display screen. The one we were supposed to use for our photo montage later. I bought a new bed recently, I said, conversational. Easy. Beautiful bed, white linen, I was so excited about it. It felt like a fresh start, a clean slate. I pressed a button. The first photo filled the screen. Ethan and Lily, asleep, naked, tangled in my new white sheets. The room went silent. Completely, utterly silent. I advanced to the next photo, and the next. 6 photos total, each one crystal clear, each one undeniable. This bed was meant for my future, I said, voice still calm, still controlled. I just didn't realize it would expose your past. Ethan stood frozen. His face had gone white. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Lily made a small noise, a whimper. Her hands covered her mouth. My mother gasped. My father's face hardened into something I'd never seen before. Ethan's parents looked at their son like they didn't recognize him. The wedding is canceled, I said clearly. Obviously. Ethan found his voice. Wait, please, let me explain. Explain what? I asked, turning to face him fully. Explain how you've been sleeping with my best friend in my apartment, in my bed, while planning to marry me for my family's money and connections? His eyes went wide. Panicked. Oh, yes, I said softly. I read the messages, Ethan. I know exactly what this wedding meant to you. An investment, a strategic move, access to resources. I turned to Lily. She was crying now, mascara running down her face. And you, I said. Sweet Lily, fragile Lily, do you want to tell Ethan about the baby? Or should I? She went even paler, shook her head frantically. What baby? Ethan asked, voice sharp. Lily's pregnant, I said. Though I don't think she knows if it's yours or her ex's. The timeline's a bit murky. Maybe you two can figure it out together now that you are both single. Lily stood up, stumbled. You don't understand. You didn't mean what? I interrupted, voice colder now, sharper. You didn't mean to sleep with my fiancé. You didn't mean to betray me. You didn't mean to get pregnant. Which part was the accident, Lily? She was sobbing, full body sobs that shook her entire frame. You've hated me for 2 years, I said, voice quieter now, meant just for her. Ever since your ex developed feelings for me, feelings I never reciprocated, feelings I immediately told you about because I thought we were friends. But you never forgave me for being what he wanted, did you? You've been waiting for your revenge ever since. I loved you, Lily choked out. You were my best friend. You loved the idea of me, I corrected, until you realized men admired me. Then you hated me. And you've spent 2 years trying to destroy something that was never a competition in the first place. Because here's the secret, Lily. I never wanted your ex. And now that I know who Ethan really is, I don't want him either. I turned back to Ethan. He was standing there, looking small and exposed and desperate. The apartment is in my name, I said. You have 30 days to move out. My investment in your company? I want it back. All of it. My lawyer will be in touch Monday morning, and if you try to fight me, I will destroy you. Professionally, financially, socially. I have resources you can't imagine and evidence you can't refute. Please, Ethan said, voice breaking. Please, we can talk about this. We're done talking, I said. We've been done. I just didn't realize it until I saw you in my bed with my best friend. I looked around the room, at my parents who looked devastated but proud, at Ethan's parents who looked horrified, at the guests who were frozen in shock. I'm sorry for the drama, I said, but I thought you all deserved to know the truth before you wasted any more time or money on a wedding that was built on lies. I set down my glass, picked up my purse, walked toward the door. My father caught up with me in the hallway, put his hand on my shoulder. Are you okay? He asked quietly. I will be, I said. I just need some time. He nodded, squeezed my shoulder. I'm proud of you. Those words almost broke me, almost made me cry, but I held it together. I drove home, let myself into my apartment, walked into my bedroom and looked at the bed where this had all started. I called a charity, had them pick it up the next day. I bought a new bed, different style, different sheets, different everything. And when it was delivered and set up, I lay down on it alone and slept better than I had in months. 2 months later, Lily texted me. I'd blocked her number, but she found a way through a mutual friend's phone. Can we talk? Please? I need to explain. I agreed to meet her. Coffee shop, public, safe. She looked terrible, exhausted, thin, still pregnant, though barely showing. Thank you for meeting me, she said, voice small. I'm here, I said to our talk. I'm so sorry, she began. I was wrong. I was jealous and angry, and I let it destroy everything. Yes, I agreed. You did. She flinched. I don't know what I expected you to say. Did you expect me to forgive you? I asked. To tell you it's okay, that we can move past this? I don't know, she whispered. Maybe I just wanted you to know that I regret it, that I understand now that I destroyed the best friendship I ever had over something that was never even real. I looked at her, really looked at her, saw the genuine pain there, the regret, the self-loathing. Your ex never loved me, Lily, I said quietly. He had a crush, a fleeting attraction. I shut it down immediately. But you turned it into this massive betrayal in your head. You made me the villain in a story where I'd done nothing wrong. I know, she said. I know that now. And Ethan never loved you either, I continued. He used you because you made him feel important, necessary, big, all the things I apparently didn't make him feel. But he was never going to leave me for you. He told you what you wanted to hear because it kept you available, compliant. She was crying again, silent tears down her face. You destroyed yourself over a competition that never existed, I said. That's the tragedy here. Not what you did to me, what you did to yourself. What do I do now? She asked, voice broken. You figure out who the father is, I said. You decide what you want to do about the pregnancy. You go to therapy. You learn to deal with your jealousy and your insecurity and your need for validation. You build a life that isn't dependent on tearing other women down. Will you ever forgive me? I considered the question, really considered it. Maybe someday, I said finally. But our friendship is over. That trust is broken, and I'm not interested in rebuilding it. She nodded, accepted it. I understand. I stood up, picked up my bag. Lily, I said. She looked up at me. I hope you find peace. I really do. But you won't find it with me? I left her there, walked out into the sunshine, got in my car. My phone buzzed, a message from Ethan, from an unknown number since I'd blocked him everywhere. I miss you. I made a terrible mistake. Can we please talk? I deleted it without responding. Some people think revenge is about making others hurt the way they hurt you, about getting even, about justice. But real revenge, I learned, is simpler than that. It's taking back your life, your dignity, your power. It's refusing to let someone else's betrayal define your worth. It's sleeping peacefully in a new bed, in your own apartment, with your resources intact and your future unburdened. They took my trust. I took back my life, and that was the only revenge I ever needed.